Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show. Okay, so you are the zombie professor.
Yeah, some people call me the zombie professor.
And you are a professor at ASU, Arizona State University.
Yeah, I'm actually a real professor.
That's so crazy.
Sometimes people are like, "What? You're a professor?"
That's amazing.
But,
yeah. I know, I have this thing where I don't like to and this is probably bad, but I don't like to. I always look at I don't like to research people because I like to go if I was sitting on a flight. I remember back in the day, on Southwest Airlines, back in the day, they used to have flights you're sitting there and I'm sitting here. They face each other, and by the time you landed in an hour, you knew the person.
Yeah.
So I kind of I don't know who I'm sitting next to. I don't get a Wikipedia of them. So I always kind of, and then I watch the interview with Larry King, and I watch all these really good interviewers, and they're like, "No, you research. You never ask a question that you don't know the answer to already," and I just don't totally believe that. So first of all, I'd like to apologize in advance, Zombie Professor, for anything I say that is.
Please don't apologize. I love to just. Can I swear?
Yeah.
I love to just shoot the shit, and having conversations with strangers is one of my favorite things in the world.
Oh, good.
So, as soon as you start doing research ahead of time, then you're not having a conversation with a stranger anymore, and it's kind of a different thing. It's
You're right.
If it's a conversation with a stranger and other people are listening to it, they're also kind of having a conversation with a stranger versus an interview that's prepared for.
That's exactly
That's more okay, this is these are specific learning outcomes that I want to have or something, right? It's much more structured and less fun, maybe.
But so before we get to the zombie thing, how are you a professor? What do you do to become I know how you get to be a doctor.
Yeah.
How do you get to be a professor?
Well, so lots and lots of school and lots of research. So I have a master's degree and a PhD in psychology, and I've been doing research on cooperation, doing many different methods. So I do research with human participants, I do computer models, I do field work, and I do also a lot of public outreach and kind of how do we have the methods that we're using of science make sense for the real world. So do all of those things and pretty much have since I was really it was in my teens that I was like, I want to study evolution and human behavior, in particular cooperation.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where does the zombie part come in?
The zombie part comes in when you have a creative colleague or two and you guys sit around late at night drinking whiskey and you're like, oh, you know what's wrong with academia? It's too boring. And you're like, why don't we have a conference that's about zombies? Yeah, let's do that, and you're a few whiskeys in and then you wake up the next morning and you're like, maybe that wasn't just a crazy drunken idea. Maybe we should actually do that.
So do you is there a class at ASU?
Now there is a class called the Science of Zombification.
And you're the professor of that class?
I'm the professor, yeah.
And it started, that whiskey night was how long ago?
That was 8 years ago, something like that. So it started with the Zombie Apocalypse Medicine Meeting, which is an academic conference that is about the zombie apocalypse. We're actually having the next one next month in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's coming up. But it's basically an interdisciplinary conference where everybody comes ready to talk about zombies and the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. So you're framing your research in terms of these fun, imaginative, creative ideas, whether it's, talking about food preferences by constructing a study of zombies and their food preferences, or talking about how you actually do public policy around disaster recovery by talking about it as a zombie apocalypse. So
there's a message to everything you're doing.
There is a message, and part of the message is the medium of we're having a fun conference that's playful, not opportunity, which oftentimes, I'm sorry to say, but oftentimes academic things end up being pissing contests. People, it's the first thing everybody wants to do is establish that they're the expert on this or that. And then the next thing that they want to do is figure out if they're better than everyone else. Not everybody does that. But even if you have a few people in the room doing that, it kind of ruins it for everyone. Mm-hmm. So we would purposefully let's make it so the expectation is that you are being playful, you're having fun, there's no, egos and posing and all of that. We're here to put our heads together, to eat each other's brains and talk about how to survive the zombie apocalypse.
So when you said food preference of a zombie, don't zombies eat other people?
Yeah, so for example, one of the, I think, greatest talks that we've ever had at the Zombie Apocalypse Medicine meeting was my friend and colleague, Peter Todd, who for a long time was the chair of psychology and cognitive science at University of Indiana, so super high up guy. And he put this whole experiment together and ran it where he asked people about their preferences for different foods based on how hungry they were. And I'll just give you one example of what he did. He took, on one hand, a carrot stick, and on the other hand, a severed finger, pictures of these, okay? And then he morphed them so that in the middle, there was something you're like, is this a carrot stick? Or is this a severed finger? You can't kind of really tell. And then he manipulated people's hunger, right? To see, would they say that something that it looks more like a human finger is edible and is a carrot stick, right? If they're more hungry. Mm-hmm. And he found that effect. And the way that he framed it all was, we want to understand zombies' cannibalism and their food preferences, but we can't get approval for human subjects research with zombies because they can't give informed consent. And so we have to do this experiment on undergraduates. Right. So he took the whole conceit, right? That we're doing research in the zombie apocalypse, and he designed this study to look at a real phenomenon. And then he presented the whole thing in a totally scientifically valid way, exactly how he did the study. And the only thing that was, fiction in it was the idea that initially he had planned on doing this on zombies because zombies, mm-hmm. Well, depending on what you think, zombies don't exist. We could talk about that later, but.
So did people pick the carrot or pick the finger?
So the hungrier people were, the more likely they were to say that things that were further along towards the severed finger were edible and were a carrot stick.
Yeah,
if they just had a sudden, just a brief flash of it. So you're like, oh, what did I see?
But it's like that movie or the book, this true story of Alive.
Yeah.
Right? The plane crashed. They ate
exactly.
each other. They ate the dead bodies.
So all of it connects to the real world in one way or another. And it's just sort of like a playful vehicle for talking about things that might otherwise be a little bit scary or, maybe not something that people want to sit around and talking about. Do you want to, should we have a conference about cannibalism? I don't know. Mm-hmm. How about a conference about the zombie apocalypse? Right. And then there's some sort of, pieces of it that let us play with some of these ideas to actually explore the science behind what happens when people are hungry.
So you're saying then, like Bigfoot, are there zombies? That's
I would say, are there zombies is almost more of a philosophical question, mm-hmm. because we can think about what a zombie is in many different ways.
Define a zombie because right now, I've seen all the videos. I think somewhere in Philadelphia, all the people that are on fentanyl and they're just like this. Mm-hmm. They call it the zombie park. Have you seen that footage?
I haven't seen that particular, but I do know about this phenomenon. Yeah. And, I saw a zombie when I was riding my bike yesterday, walking down the street on her phone, crossing the street completely unaware of anything and anyone.
So a zombie is, she's in the zone.
Yeah. She's
an unsafe zone.
Yeah. Under the influence of something that's not herself.
So you're having a lot of fun with the definition of zombie and what we can do with zombies.
Yeah.
What do your parents think when you tell them you're a zombie professor?
My father passed away 2 years ago.
You know what? I was going to ask you that. My parents passed.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to use that as I can't ask her about her parents. So what's the right? Should I have said, are your parents still around?
No,
and then
fine.
said, Right, but it's such a weird thing because you know what I mean. Because I didn't want to. Just because my parents are passed doesn't mean her parents are passed. But you were a professor 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think my dad was like, kind of like, what? He was a professor too, but a professor of biochemistry. You know, a little bit more conventional than me. My mom, she was very creative. She was actually the art director for Playboy back in the 70s. So she just was, you know.
Stop.
Yeah.
She's got stories.
Yeah, definitely stories. And she was always very, very encouraging of like everything creative. So I'm sure she would have been like, yeah, like do it, Athena.
She passed away too?
Yeah.
Wow. How long ago?
She actually passed away when I was in my teens. So,
wow.
Yeah.
You don't mind talking about it?
That's all right.
How did they both pass?
Well, so my dad, he really was just, you know, he had me when he was in his late 40s already. So he was an older dad, and he just like lived his life. He just lived it, and then his body was like, no more. But up until like a year before he died, he was living like he was, you know, 50. Like he was just...
So how old was he when he passed?
He was in his mid 80s.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Did you ever see? And you know, I had to get to this, but you know, The Walking Dead. Did you ever watch?
Yeah.
Did you watch all of The Walking Dead?
I haven't watched it all, but I've watched some of
Okay.
it. So,
Do you remember? Do you know who the governor is?
Yeah.
Okay, the governor ended up being this evil guy, and then he ended up being a good guy. And then, but when there was a point, I thought as I watched this episode, he was this really mean dude, but his daughter became a zombie, like his 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And he kept her chained up because he loved his daughter.
Yeah.
And he wanted to, like, he couldn't kill his daughter, right? And that's how you have to survive the zombies, according to The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you could keep your parents alive as a zombie, would you have a zombie professor?
No. Let it go.
Right?
You know? Yeah. Right. And I mean, I think that does bring us into this like very philosophical territory about zombies. And I think one of the things that's nice about zombies as like the fictional version of them is that they let us grapple with some really fundamental questions. Like, what does it really mean, like, to be you? What is yourself? And if you have been compromised by, getting hijacked by something that's not you, whether it's a zombie virus or if you're, you can also be hijacked by your body breaking down, right? And then you're like no longer really
dementia.
You, for example. Yeah. So, what does that mean for how we think about what it means to be a self? And to me, if we want to kind of like fast forward through my whole journey of all of this and kind of like where I am now in terms of my thinking, I think so much of it is our body and our brains, like all of the pieces of us that make us up sort of physically and informationally, do they have aligned interests? So, do we have parts of our brain that are working in different directions? Do we have influences that are coming in that are affecting our behavior, that are pulling us in different ways that aren't really consistent with what's right for us? So I kind of think of like, how do you not be a zombie? Well, you kind of cultivate within yourself an alignment of interests, both physically and informationally. And then in your world, you sort of cultivate that alignment of interest. So it really comes down to cooperation, which maybe isn't a surprise that I would get there given that I study cooperation. But yeah, that's sort of my solution to the zombie problem.
I think you're so fascinating. You're so smart at a whole other level that I can't comprehend. So I apologize. Like, to me, what you said earlier, I mean, I think the cell phone or what do you call this now? What do you call these smartphones?
Yeah.
Is like the biggest zombie maker in the world, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, do you ever sit there? I don't know. Do you troll on, not troll. Do you scroll? Do you doom scroll?
Sometimes I do. Yeah.
I'm so conscious of it that I try not to.
Yeah.
But before you know, it's almost like, oh, I got a flight in an hour and a half. I'll just go to the airport and hang out on my phone. And then, an hour and a half goes by and you're like, what a waste of time. Or sometimes I catch myself on the couch watching TV and then watching my phone. And I'm like, so it's like literally to me, the new form of being a zombie.
It is, absolutely.
So how do you, being a professor, do you acknowledge, how do you stop it? What advice do you have since you also are a massive psychology professor in real life? Yeah,
well, I mean, I have a number of solutions, which I employ better or worse in different circumstances. So one is just, I have like really strict rules for myself about using my smartphone around bedtime. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. Sometimes I'll break that, and then I'm like, why am I doing, I realize like it's messing up my sleep, and then I'll stop. But I try to not be on my phone in the hour before I go to sleep. I like put it away. It's basically in the part of the house that's the furthest from where I sleep, plugged in, an hour before I go to bed. When I find that I'm like spending too much time on my phone, I'll turn it to black and white mode.
That sucks so bad.
I know. Then you're like, this
it
thing,
works
whatever.
so good.
It
does, but it sucks so bad.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like, want to take a picture of something. There's so many things you realize.
Yeah.
Oh, let me take a picture. Oh, that sucks. It's black and white mode, but I don't want to take it off. Or like when you said about putting it, like, I realized this, like, here's my phone. Like, I'll be like, I'm going to, like, I try to stay off at 2.
Yeah.
Before I go to bed. But I'll like put it down and then go plug it in, put it down far away, and then be like, oh, wait, how many steps did I get today? Like within a second. And I'm like, wait a minute. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so addicting. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that the most effective thing, though, that I try to do is make my real life more interesting than what's available on my phone. That's the most effective.
Okay, so like give me an example of that. What do you do that's more exciting than somebody posting that they're in the Bahamas on vacation?
Like, I'll drive up the mountain and go for a big old hike. Like, I don't want to be on my phone when I'm like...
But it's 120 outside.
Well, I go up to Flagstaff all the time. Yeah. Okay. I drive. So I will get in the car and drive and go on adventures, like pretty regularly.
Yeah, like you said when you came in here that you were just in Arkansas.
Yeah, right? I was in Arkansas for a few days, opening a business there. And, that was much more fun and interesting than just being on my phone. Is
the business that you're opening? Well, wait, but getting to Arkansas, driving to the location.
I actually flew to Arkansas for that.
Right, but on the plane, you're on your phone. Did you not watch a movie on the plane?
So, on the plane, oftentimes I'll have a book because...
What?
Yeah. I'm kind of old school. I like books, so I'll read a book. Sometimes, so if there's internet, like, one of my my hacks for myself is I can actually do a lot of email because I'm just sitting there and there's nothing else that I can do. And I'm usually so bad at email. I can do 20 minutes of email and then I get distracted with other things. But yeah, on a plane, it's like there's not a lot of other interesting things to do.
Do you think you have ADHD?
Oh, I have never, gotten an official diagnosis, but probably.
But aren't you also someone that can give yourself an official diagnosis?
No, I'm not a clinical psychologist.
You're just got
I'm a research psychologist.
Oh, research psychologist.
So you can get a degree that lets you be a practicing clinical psychologist.
Like Pavlov?
That's research. Pavlov is psychology research. So mine is more on the research.
So you're like
side.
Him, like Pavlov's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when it comes to zombies, and I want to get back to Hollywood zombies, would you say that there is a movie or a TV show that is extremely realistic that could happen in the zombie world, or no?
Oh, that's a great question. People always ask me what's my favorite zombie movie, but the most realistic zombie movie. Zombie movies are almost by definition unrealistic because of thermodynamics and the energetic constraints on organisms.
I was going to say that exact same thing.
Yeah. So there are pandemic movies that are realistic, like Contagion, for example.
God, yeah. Outbreak.
Yeah. And then, once you get into the zombie movie territory, you start to have, entities that break the rules of biology.
Okay, that makes sense.
So,
well, I would tell you, for me, I think if you ever get a chance to watch episode 1 of The Walking Dead, it's fantastic.
I don't think I've seen episode 1.
Episode 1 is just fantastic.
All right.
I think it's just so this is it. But so I wanted to do something that I've never done on this podcast. For one, is I don't know where you stand on Botox and stuff like that. Is that a zombie thing? I don't do it myself. I have a lot of friends that do, but not for me. So I'm not a person that goes, oh, I need Botox. But I just take advantage of opportunities. My friends reach out to me. So I have a friend of mine. Her name's Jamie. She owns a med spa called the Comstock. And she's been friends of a friend of mine for years and years and years. And she texted me this morning. And she said, hey, I have an opening at 11 and I have an opening at 2 if you want to come in for Daxi. I think it's called Daxify.
Okay.
I never bring props, but I'm bringing a prop for this. So, and she goes, I can't. I'm doing an interview. I got a couple podcasts I'm taping today. I can't. And I thought, wait a minute. It's a zombie podcast. If my face is all red and poked, and it'll fit perfect with the podcast. So that's actually what happened. I don't know if you can see, but I have all. So I went in there and she not Botox, Daxified my whole face.
Okay.
Then she gave me this, and I thought it'd be so cool. This is what she told me to put on right after, and I thought I want to put it on and do the interview. Some of the interview like this. This is this special mask that you wear after you get it, and I thought it looks like Hannibal Lecter.
Looks so creepy already.
It's so creepy. Right? So if I just put this on and do the interview.
What?
Right, so I'd be like, so tell me, zombie professor, how about, can dogs be zombies? Can pets be zombies?
Oh, we have such a zombified relationship with our pets. I don't know about, do you have any pets yourself?
I have 6 dogs.
You
My
have
wife
6
and I
dogs.
run the dog rescue.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I have 2 dogs, and I am so zombified by my dogs. And they're zombified by me as well. So
They are.
How's that going there?
Good. They're because I had it on the wrong way.
Did you finally figure out how to position it properly?
I did, and now it's burning.
You look so creepy.
Do I?
You look so creepy.
So you can say, as you move on with your life, and you'll never forget this interview.
I will never. This is probably the most memorable podcast I've ever been on. So already.
tell me about what's the zombie related, because we get so involved with our dogs, right? To the point of like.
Yeah. So if you think of defining a zombie as an entity that is under the influence of something that is not itself, then we are totally zombified by our dogs, right? We take care of them, make sure that they have everything that they need. We want them to be happy and fed, and we just are our whole emotional life can easily revolve around a dog or 2 or 6. And there's a biological basis for that. So as humans, our oxytocin systems, sort of our cuddle, our bonding hormones, they get activated when we interact with our dogs. Our dogs also have oxytocin systems that get juiced up when they interact with us. So we are, fully and happily zombified by our dogs.
So this form of using zombie is positive.
Exactly. Yeah. Zombification doesn't have to be bad, right? It's like influence is inevitable. We're going to be influenced by things, whether it's, other humans or parasites or technology. It's just normal for us as humans to be influenced. And in fact, as a living thing, you're going to have influences on you no matter what. And the question is just, are those things that are influencing you aligned with your own interests and well-being, or are they not?
What are some other positive zombifications besides pets?
So I'd say if you're in a healthy relationship, romantic or otherwise.
To get obsessed with your partner in a good way?
Yeah, and maybe they are interested in helping you meet your goals or your personal development, your happiness. I mean, ideally, those are things that your partner would care about as well. And so if you're in a healthy relationship, then you have a lot of influence from your partner, and a lot of that is probably good.
As far as marketing goes, or have you somewhat trademarked the way you're using zombification and zombie? Because you're doing it totally different. Everyone thinks what I did. When I sat down here, I thought we were talking about TV shows, Hollywood, zombies, and that kind of stuff. But you've actually come up with a very clever way to talk about a problem, like when you talk about being on your phone. But then you also brought up in a positive way and relate. So it's isn't that psychologically very interesting?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm right now writing my 3rd book. It's the full draft is into the publisher now, and it's in the stages of going towards coming out hopefully next year. It's called Hijacked. That's the tentative title, at least. And it's all about the things that take over our brains, essentially, zombification in a book. I also have a podcast called Zombified where I talk about all these different things. And actually my first episode was called The Puppy Apocalypse with my colleague, Clive Wynn, who studies human-dog interactions. And we've been talking forever about, sort of cooperation, human and dog cooperation. And
you think people get a little crazy with their dogs?
Oh, yeah.
And that's good, though?
I think that it can be very good. It isn't always good, but it has the potential to be very good for everybody involved.
Like my sister has 2 dogs. We have 6, and we love our dogs. But my sister is feeds them with a spoon, a little insane, I think.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, myself included, have speculated that dogs maybe are parasitizing our parental investment systems. So if you're looking at it from a strictly evolutionary perspective, you might say, well, people who have dogs may be less likely to have kids. So maybe it's not in our evolutionary interests. Maybe they are parasitizing us in that way. But boy, do they make us happy.
Well, also my sister has 2 kids.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's incredible. But yeah, so Puppy Apocalypse. What does he call it?
The Puppy Apocalypse.
That could be a fun thing for our dog shelter to do for Halloween.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Somewhat to do, because we have so many. That's the thing right now is that, first of all, the pet business, the dog business is $150 billion business right now.
Wow.
I know. I mean, we don't make money. We're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
But it's there's so much going on. We have right now at our dog shelter, we're full. We have all these people that are surrendering their dogs, and we don't have room for it. I know it's really sad. What kind of dog do you have?
I've got 2 mutts. So.
How long have you had them?
One for 8 years and the other for 4 years.
So what are your first 2 books?
So my first book is the nerdiest of all of my books and the most serious. It's called The Cheating Cell: How Evolution Helps Us Understand and Treat Cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, and in that book, I basically apply the science of cooperation to understanding our bodies as cooperative cellular systems and looking at cancer as a breakdown of that cellular cooperation.
Okay.
So you can kind of imagine our bodies are a society of 30 billion cells that are cooperating and coordinating every millisecond to make us function. And they do certain things, including suppressing their reproduction, their division, right? They don't just replicate out of control. They do something called apoptosis, which is controlled cell death. It's essentially cellular suicide. So if they're doing anything that's damaging to the body, they take themselves out of circulation.
Okay.
There's also resource distribution and management. You take food in, and the nutrients get to all the cells that need to get them. There's division of labor, cells doing different jobs. There's also a whole system for taking care of the environment inside our bodies, getting rid of waste, building the structures in between cells, because our bodies are not just cells. They're also all these things in between the cells that make us have the physical structure that we do and be able to function the way that we do. So you have all of these cooperative things happening all the time, completely below our awareness, just at the cellular level.
Right.
And what happens with cancer is you get a breakdown of those 5 foundations of cooperation. So you get cells replicating out of control, not dying when they should, monopolizing resources, not doing the division of labor that they should, and trashing the environment of the body. And that's basically what cancer is. And when cells start to do that, they can gain an evolutionary advantage inside the body, which allows them to replicate. So it's a evolutionary process that's happening inside the body that's favoring cells that are basically cheating on the social contract of multicellular cooperation that is otherwise what our bodies are.
But you can't diagnose it ahead of time and stop it.
So one of the things that we've sort of worked on in my early work on sort of cancer, and we're continuing to do, is how can you actually use evolutionary and ecological frameworks to better predict whether cancer, like early cancer, is going to turn into something that is malignant.
Right.
And you can actually break down things that come from evolutionary biology, like looking at the mutation rate. That tells you how fast something will evolve. The population size, right? How many cells are there that are sort of rogue evolving cells? So you can take all of these things from evolution. You can also take things from ecology. And that's what I tried to do in basically, the first decade of my work on cancer biology, was take all these tools from cooperation science, evolutionary biology, and ecology to try to understand cancer better. And that book that I wrote was kind of the culmination of all of that.
Was there a lot of positive feedback on the book?
Yeah, and it's been translated into so many languages I can't even keep track now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with natural killer cells?
Yeah.
And do you believe that
Yeah.
works? Those.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely our immune systems do a lot to suppress cancer on an ongoing basis. They're sort of doing like surveillance of all of our systems to make sure that there aren't systematic problems that are occurring. And also just the cells inside our body are always monitoring their neighbors, even the non-immune cells. There's just constant sort of communication and feedback happening among cells that help keep everything in check.
I know a woman, she's going to be 90 next month.
Wow.
No, in October. And she has stage 4 bone cancer. And she's had it for a long time. My aunt got stage 4 bone cancer after this woman, and my aunt died 6 months later. Yeah. This woman, she goes to Mexico and gets stem cells. She gets natural killer cells. I think it's almost every 3 months. It's very expensive, but she gets the natural killer cells, and she does hyperbaric treatments in a real hyperbaric chamber, and she does red light therapy, and she's almost 90, and she just bought a Porsche a month ago. Like, you cannot tell. Like, this woman
She's
is
living it.
Yes, yeah. And I think the natural killer cells, she's got, she had breast cancer. She's fighting it, but these natural killer cells, I think, are keeping her alive.
I actually haven't really looked into the use of, natural killer cells in that way. I just know about, the killer cells that are in our bodies already and the role that they play. So
what I did is I went about a little over a year ago to my doctor, and they took 26 vials of my blood, getting back to the zombie thing, took all my blood, took it to a clinic in Irvine, and got my natural killer cells out of there. Got 2 billion of them.
Wow.
Then I went to Mexico, where it's legal, and they gave me an IV drip. They got 4 billion, and they gave me 2 billion back in an IV drip to fight whatever. I don't have anything. I just wanted to be preventative, I have some calcium in my heart. I'm hoping that I could go in there and maybe reverse calcium. I don't know if that worked or not, but it's eating up, because the doctor, who actually, I want to invite you to meet this doctor. The doctor showed me video. It's a microscope all zoomed up, and it's cancer, and there's NK cells, the natural killer cells, and you see them like eating the cancer like a Pac-Man. Like, it's crazy. In fact, I've had this professor or this scientist on my show before, and he's coming next week with a few other doctors. They're holding a seminar. They're going to be on this podcast. I'd love to have you join us if you want to talk about it. They own this company. They also have this company in Mexico called Immunoscene, and they told me not to use the word cure. I guess you can't do that. You can't use the word remission anymore or something, but they get rid of it. So, you guys could probably have a way more intelligent conversation than I can, because I'm just like, it eats it like Pac-Man. You know what I mean? But if you're around next week, you want to pop in, and they're having a seminar on Tuesday.
Cool.
Maybe they know all about your book. They're amazing. They're also stem cells. Do you believe in stem cells? Do you believe that stuff too?
Well, stem cells are definitely a thing. I've done simulation research on stem cells in cancer, and most of what I know about sort of the use of stem cell therapies is just from people I know who are connected to that world. I haven't actually done any research on that myself.
I just came back a week ago from getting stem cells in Mexico. I'm addicted to it.
How was that?
It was great. I've done it. I've gotten stem cells now 7 times in an IV drip. Last week, though, I went in to the hospital, and they put me under anesthesia, and they injected my spine, my discs, the bone, the little facets, the membranes, everything you can think of that goes in the spine. I got like 140 million stem cells injected into me. And then I did an IV drip of 200 million just to fight with. The reason being is because, as we talked about our parents earlier, my mother died of brain cancer at the age of 66, and my father died of a heart attack at the age of 66.
Wow.
And my father was in the best shape of any man still to this day I'd ever seen at 66 years old. So he just died like that. I have 3 boys, so I'm doing everything I can where I've become somewhat obsessed with being as healthy as I can, right? So I've lost weight, my weight's fluctuated, so I'm trying to do everything I can to stay healthy, which is why another thing we talked about when you walked in, sauna. I try to sauna every day. You are a sauna person.
Oh, I love saunas. Yeah.
What do you do? 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Well, when I'm up in Flagstaff, I'll do like 10 to 15 minutes with, a break in between to cool down. If I can cold plunge, but I don't have a cold plunge up there. But if I can, or if I'm like somewhere where there's snow, I'll get in the snow or whatever.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did stem cells a week ago, and with the stem cells, they ask you not to hot tub, cold plunge, or sauna for a couple of weeks. There's a little bit of, I get mixed reviews. Somebody says, just wait 3 days. Somebody else said, well, the stem cells are in your body 29 days. So normally, one of the things I usually sauna, hot tub, cold plunge every day. I cold plunge maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Like, I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah. If I had a cold plunge, I would totally do it all the time. I love it. But I'm like also, what I really love is like going into natural bodies of water that are freezing. Like,
that's great.
In Iceland, like the glacial.
Plus you're grounding when you do that
Yeah,
too. You've done the Iceland thing?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I swam in the sea in Iceland in November. It was awesome.
Wow.
So, yeah.
For how long?
Maybe 5,
That's
6
enough?
minutes.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
How cold was it?
Oh, very, very cold. Because, it's like the streams so I did it in the streams in May with the glacial runoff. So that's just like, just, not freezing, like just not freezing. And then in November, the sea was like a little bit warmer than that, but not much. But yeah, it was fun. I was like swimming out there, and at one point I'm like, oh, that's a bunch of seals. Maybe I should
Yeah, it might be a shark looking for us.
I should get back on shore.
When you do that, are you doing that because you're speaking with your career, or are you doing that for vacation?
So whenever I have the chance to go to Iceland, I do. So I've been invited a few times to the Royal Swedish Academy of Science, the entity that gives Nobel Prizes. So I do stuff about, in general, how do we survive disasters, and how do we have a positive outlook on the world, even though things are pretty fucked up. And so I've been a part of several events there. So that's in Stockholm. So I'm like, what if I spend a day or 2 in Iceland on the way there and the way back? So I'll just squeeze it in, rent a car, drive out to the places where there's natural hot springs by the water, and do the, hot springs, and then
That's so awesome.
Get in the water.
Is that something are you by yourself, or do you travel with?
Often I'm by myself. The first time I was in Iceland, I was with a bunch of colleagues, and it was awesome. And we whitewater rafted this insane 4.5, and it was crazy and freezing, so you're in these dry suits, and of course mine was compromised, so I was like, oh, wet, because I was also they're like, do you want to get in, there's this area that's not totally crazy, you could just get in and float down, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm getting in to float down. And it turned out my suit wasn't quite waterproof, so
that's great.
But yeah,
so you remind me of something of Sweden. I happen to meet some people here on this podcast that are gurus that own, they have in India, they have this huge, I don't know what you call it. I wish I knew the right words. But it's this beautiful monastery, and they teach you, and you meditate, and all these wonderful things happen. And they also have one in Sweden. In fact, ABBA built it.
What?
Weird. Yeah, it's weird. And then they built it for some people. Then those people left it, and then these people I know bought it. And we're talking about evolution and stem cells and our body and ourselves. Where are you spiritually with this kind of stuff?
Oh, what do I believe?
Because there's people I know, when you battle when you battle like the common sense of things, you think, like, I know some people that are so smart, and I have so much respect for them, and then, you know, they're preachers in the church, and I'm like, wow, it just seems so hard that a God just made all this stuff. And then I read in the Bible, it's okay to question that, so I don't want to get in trouble. But then it's like, here you are with all this science, so you must not believe the other side.
Well, if you want me to just tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my personal belief is that a lot of the things that we think about as religion and spirituality are in one way or another linked to our microbiomes and the microbes that live in our world that we share. So I don't know, sounds like pretty crazy. Like, what is she even talking about?
I love it.
We do know that microbes that live in our guts and that occupy, you know, essentially an important role in terms of helping us digest food and function biologically. They also produce hormones and neurotransmitters that interact with our body and our brain,
Right.
including oxytocin,
Right.
which gives us a feeling of calm and connection and bonding with others. And so microbes have the ability to give us what I think many people would describe as spiritual feelings. So what if, and now this is wildly speculative. This is just, you know, you're getting like I'm taking my professor hat off kind of now and just being like, here's just some crazy shit that I think about.
Right.
So
you should call your fourth book that. Crazy shit that I think about.
yeah, actually I'm starting a what do you call it? A Substack in November that's called Not for Peer Review, which is essentially going to be, here's some crazy shit that I think about, including like this kind of stuff. But yeah, so if, you know, there are microbes that can make you feel universally connected and calm and all of that, and they're microbes that can be transmitted to others, then you have a situation where you can almost have like a contagious spirituality if you just have a shared microbiome that is then affecting your physiology, your brain, your gut.
Like if you're in a room chanting and manifesting with everybody and doing a meditation, there's power in that. There's power in prayer, group prayer.
And that might possibly be mediated by shared microbes. That's the crazy hypothesis.
But what about
microbial spirituality?
That makes a lot of sense to me. I wouldn't argue that at all. But what about when you die, your soul? What about the soul? Is there a scientific explanation for soul or no?
I mean, maybe that's microbes too.
That makes sense to me too.
You know, I mean, not to be flippant about it, but people do talk about like the breath of life. And, you know, like we have microbes that are not just in our guts, but on all of our epithelial surfaces, you know, inside our lungs and our mouths and everything. And so I know it's speculative, but I think the only thing I would say is probably there are some pieces of things that we think about as spiritual and religious that are in some way or another getting influenced by our microbiomes and potentially also our shared microbiomes.
Well, then it's also the power of thinking too, the power of your mind, right? Because like I've seen this thing where, you ever seen that thing? I can't remember what study it was, but it was like there's water and they labeled the water ugly, mean, rude, or something, happy and whatever. And then when they brought up the microscopic inside, like the mean, ugly water where there was like dark stuff, and then there was happy bubbles in the other water. So it's like if you think positive and you think spiritual and you think great things are going to happen and this and this and this and happiness, then is there some sort of you're making good things happen with your microbiome? It's all positive, it's all happy. Whereas if you're woe is me and you're negative, you're like, oh, it's going to be a bad day today. Oh, this podcast is going to go terrible. That actually will make that happen.
Yeah, so I think that power is actually happening mostly through changes in social expectations that happen when you come to a situation with a certain attitude. And this actually comes down to game theory. So, you know, have you heard about the prisoner's dilemma and tit for tat and all of that. So like you and I are in a situation, we can choose to cooperate, have mutual benefit, or we could choose to not cooperate. We both don't cooperate and things aren't that good. Or if you cooperate but I don't, then you get suckered, or vice versa. So there are a decent number of situations in life where your expectation about what the other person is going to do influences what is the best option for you. So if you think, I'm going to cooperate and we could have a long-term relationship where we're cooperating, then it makes sense for you to cooperate also. But if I'm coming in with a negative attitude, and you're like, I wonder, this doesn't seem like a good long-term, cooperative situation, then that's going to influence what makes the most sense for you to do. And it's also going to influence just what ideas pop into your head in interacting with me. It's going to influence for me what ideas pop into my head. Am I suspicious about things, or am I excited about possibilities? So depending on where we are mentally, it really changes the opportunities in our social environment. So both because other people change how they behave towards us when we come in with a certain attitude, and because our own mental state changes what ideas get activated and are available to us in our own minds.
So if you walk into a setting and you're willing to cooperate or willing to be a team player, it can change your perception, right? So you use cooperate a lot.
Yeah.
That's like your word? That's like your study?
One of my words, one of my big words.
But I feel like cooperate to me, the way you're using it, it makes me feel like, again, like manifest. I guess there's so many different connections, because it's like, hey, we're gonna, visualize, be positive. I'm gonna go meet these new people I got to work with. I hope it all works out great. It's gonna work out great. Versus walking in there going, I've heard so-and-so's whatever. Now you're not cooperating.
Right. Or you're not going in with the expectation of a positive interaction.
Right.
And, I think, obviously you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're going to get exploited. But I think people worry so much about not getting exploited that oftentimes they miss great opportunities for positive interactions. And you can simultaneously sort of come to a situation with positive expectations, but not be there for getting exploited. You could be like, oh, well, actually, this isn't working out. I'm out of here. In fact, that's what I did my PhD work on. I basically proposed this alternative strategy called the walkaway strategy for dealing with this sort of prisoner's dilemma situation, where you begin by cooperating and then you just leave if your partner doesn't cooperate. And you can also do this in groups. So you join a group, you start out cooperating, and you stay and cooperate as long as the return that you're getting is above a certain threshold. And if it isn't, then you just leave. So you're always cooperating, but you're just not staying in partnerships or groups that aren't cooperating as well.
And that's okay?
Well, so what I did was computer models of this and showed that it leads to higher payoffs for cooperators in general. It makes cooperators do better than exploiters.
When you're willing to leave.
When
cooperation isn't going your way, or when you've had enough.
Well, it's basically when you're not getting what you really deserve as a cooperator.
But that's not taking your ball and going home?
It's taking your ball and going and playing with somebody else.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. What book is that right there? Is that one you wrote?
This is my second book, A Field Guide to the Apocalypse, a mostly serious guide to surviving our wild times. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and this is basically, a way that I took like all this work on cooperation, a bunch of stuff that I've done, a bunch of stuff that other people have done, and framed the question of like, how do we navigate in our crazy times now, in terms of like the idea that we need to build cooperation, community, have a sense of adventure to survive all the craziness.
Is that a book you tell your students to get when they?
So they read parts of it.
Oh.
Yeah. It's and it's like illustrated. I tried to kind of make it fun. So like fun
colors.
You got like There's like me with my ukulele with the apocalypse happening.
You play
all
the
around me.
ukulele?
I play a lot of different instruments.
We should have brought one in here for you. I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah, I could
Does
have
that
brought
keep
it.
the zombies away?
It
Tiptoe through the tulips.
it's I'm really into oh, this is for you, by the way. I
Oh
can
my
sign
gosh,
it.
thank you. Yeah, I would love for you to sign it. Thank you.
But yeah, so I think like music is just an amazing way of connecting with people across all divides. And just this coming weekend, actually, I'm going up to Flagstaff for the Pickin' in the Pines Bluegrass Festival, and I'm going to be in the campground jamming until all hours of the night.
You're awesome.
And I'm running 2 workshops there too.
Wow.
So one is a workshop about jamming and cooperation and building community. That's based on, you know, kind of some of the ideas of the book, but also this notion that music is this way that we coordinate and practice cooperating when we're jamming together. So that'll be that workshop. And then I'm doing a workshop called Your Brain on Bluegrass with a colleague of mine who also studies music. So we're going to do a little like, you know, 2 professors up there talking about like how music works and what happens when you get, you know, in sync with other people when you're playing music.
Music is amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild also how music, all like the younger generation now knows all of it because of, in fact, I would say music, you can be zombified.
Oh, absolutely. Zombified, for sure.
Yes.
And you can be collectively zombified.
Right.
You're just
right.
like
You're just
all
at
in
a
it.
concert and just in the zone.
Yep.
Watching
Yeah.
a show.
We call it in bluegrass jamming the vortex.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
You're just like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. And it's like spiritual and euphoric. And also you're just like picking and you're like, I didn't even know I could do this. You know, and it's collective, this
You're talking
collective
about playing,
experience.
right? But I'm talking about also listening. Just
Absolutely.
being a listener.
Yeah. Both.
I mean, but like
yeah.
my son, I have a son who's 19, and I'm so impressed with his knowledge of 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000. Like he knows.
Yeah?
He knows every yacht rock song. And he knows every Drake song.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy the different generations because of access being zombified on your phone. He can
True.
listen 19,000 hours of Drake in 2023.
Yeah.
But so, in your opinion, how so far was this podcast? Was this a good podcast? Was it?
Oh, I've had so much fun talking to you.
Have you really? For really?
Oh, yeah.
For really?
For really?
For really? Use that next time you're in class. You're good. So it was a good podcast for you.
Yeah,
Good,
it was
because
a lot
I
of
was
fun.
really nervous because you're really smart, and I'm just like,
I'm just a regular person.
oh yeah, regular people just go to Iceland and frolic in the river. Regular people write a book on cancer cells and in cooperation. These cells aren't cooperating.
I also like to just go to dive bars and talk to strangers. So, you know.
That's regular.
Yeah, that's regular.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Like anywhere.
In Phoenix.
In Phoenix. It's a tie between Glybon and Chula.
Okay, Chula Fish in Glybon is a Thai food restaurant. I have not been there. I've heard so much about it.
Oh, it's amazing.
Wow.
So
okay, I'm
good.
going to go there today. I think today's not open. One of these days, I went to go one day and it wasn't open. And it was a day that I was like, why wouldn't it be open? Wow. Okay, great. That's cool. Well, thank you for
Thank
being
you
on
so
our
much for
podcast.
having me.
Thanks. Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show.